Hello, 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 everyone. I am back yet again for another recording just to have a little talk about the word divorce. Um, Again, I am not an advocate of divorce. I don't condone divorce unless there is grounds for that divorce. And if you are of the spiritual mind, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. And and if you are of a common sense mind, then you know what I'm talking about. Okay, if you know, you know. So I just thought I'd come on here as an impromptu. So I've written my notes out um probably 3 months ago, and I never got the chance to actually come on and do a video about it because I've been lifing. Life's been lifing. But so I do have my notes. If you see me looking up, I'm looking at my other screen so that I can read them to you guys. But we're here to speak on divorce, and it's a word that a lot of us we shy from. We tend to give a deaf ear on us to it's cliche or it's touche or it's something that we keep hush hush in the family. But it carries the weight of a lot of broken dreams. Divorce carries shattered promises, broken promises, because when you're married, you make all these promises for good or for good and bad, through what is it, better or worse, and sickness and in health, and till death do us part. And somewhere down the line you get a there's a disconnect or a discourse where you no longer want to go through these worse or these sicknesses or these death do us parts. It's like something has happened that makes a person say, mm-mm, no, 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 no. It's more like what happens to that agape love, or what happens to that unconditional love. But you got to face the facts here and be open and honest that there are some times and there are some things that can take someone to their point where they have a breaking point in circumstances and in situations where you have to renege, so to speak, for a lack of a better word. You have to renege on those vows. And God will understand. I believe God will understand. And I'm not just saying renege on your vows out of shallow feelings, out of shallow things that happen, but like serious things, like abuse. And I'm not talking about I'm talking about abuse. That will be a common sense thing to me. And of course, for all of my Bible thumpers, infidelity. That is also a ground for divorce. But it's a word that can send shockwaves through life. It creates a turbulence. It can be so strong, intense, and it feels though you're trapped. You can be trapped in a storm. It seemed like the storm would never end. It could seem like this divorce, the situation, the circumstances, the things that you go through, it seems as though when will this ever end? Um, and especially if you have a spouse or the person that you're divorcing is, I don't want to say not understanding, but they can be of a narcissistic personality. I would use those words if I had to choose. Um, but so now I want to offer a different perspective, okay? One that acknowledges the storm. Yes, but it also highlights the calm that can follow the storm. You know, they say the calm is before the storm. And yeah, I believe the calm comes before the storm. but there's also a calm after the storm as well, because you can find solace, you can find peace, you can find healing, you can find yourself, you can find things that you never thought that were a part of you once you leave a situation where you don't have to focus on the demise of things, the demise of the situation, the demise of the marriage, or things that you might have to endure day in and day out, or walking on eggshells. You get to focus on the light, I would say. So the peace and the clarity, yeah. So peace and clarity that can be found on the other side of this tumultuous journey. So, and it is possible to make it through. It is possible to make it through gracefully. I feel like even though I was the one that initiated the divorce, it was still as though, what am I doing? Is this a whirlwind? Am I doing the right thing? Is there something else that I can do to make things work? Um, but then at the end, I realized I found my peace, I found my sanity, I found myself, I found my healing, I found clarity. It was just so much of Sherika that I was missing, and I found her. And I'm still finding her. And that's one of the things that I really enjoy about being able to be who I am and who I'm becoming today. Um, and you can walk through the fire of divorce and come out on the other side, not only as a survivor, but someone who can and will truly thrive. Okay. Um, I can tell you that the journey is not easy. Um, Let me remind you, it's a journey, you know. So, I mean, doesn't matter what kind of journey that you do. I name one of my daughter's middle name is Sojourney, because my pregnancy with her was a journey. It wasn't easy, but nonetheless, it was a journey. And on the other side of things, it's a beautiful outcome, and she's a beautiful child, and it's it was a journey nonetheless. A road trip can be a journey. There's no telling what can happen, what can happen, what might happen or can happen, will happen. Running out of gas, getting a tire blowout, or just having the car parts. Something's going wrong, something's blown, or you know. So nonetheless, it's a journey. You lost your wallet because you put it on top of your car, and I'm speaking to the choir because I did that before. I was on my way from Amarillo, Texas, to San Antonio, Texas, where I am now, and I left my whole wallet on top of my car, and I've driven at least, I want to say, 24 miles one direction, only to realize when I got ready to check into a hotel, where's my wallet? So I had to backtrack 24 miles and realize all the contents of my wallet was sprawled on the exit where I got on, leaving out at. And I'm like, wow. But nonetheless, it was part of my journey. It's a journey. And like all journeys, it has a beginning, it'll have a middle, and it'll have an end. And it doesn't matter how long each of these parts last. The beginning may be longer than the middle. The end may be longer than the beginning. The middle may be longer than the ending. It doesn't matter, but there are always three parts: the beginning, the middle, and the end. And you can get to that end more gracefully. You can get through divorce gracefully, but you got to remember it's still a journey. Okay. And I'm speaking to those right now, that if you are going through the thick of it, I want to assure you that there is light at the end of the tunnel, okay? That turbulence will eventually become calm waters. The gray skies will give way to blue, and the clouds will go away, the rain, and it'll be sunny skies again. you have to give it time. You have to give it time to heal. I'm still healing, and 2021 was my divorce. I'm still healing from that. I'm still finding things about myself that was hitting or taken away from me, or that I threw under the rug during my marriage. I'm still finding those things out about myself, and I'm like, is that me? Is that her? What? So I'm still coming out of that shell and finding myself. But you'll be able to once again stand tall on your own power. You'll be in your own space, as a whole and a complete individual, which I am coming to be a whole and complete individual, because you don't want to be a piece of someone, because a piece of someone can't help the next person wholly. So you have to be a whole someone, a complete individual. If you're going to stand up and help the next person, but you can still grow, you can still come out, but you can't be broken and still trying to heal another broken person. That's like the blind leading the blind, the broken leading the broken, so. But let's start with the turbulence, okay? Divorce, at its core, it's a major life transition. It is you going from two, or from a family to one, or single parenting, to incomes, maybe to one income. That it's going to be a transition. It's a whole life transition, okay? And there are three major stresses that I want to address with this today. The first one will be the emotional roller coaster. And like I said, even though I was the initiator of my divorce, I went through an emotional roller coaster. I'm like, there were days I was up, there were days I was down, there was days I didn't even know I was coming or going. But I knew for a fact I had to keep pushing. I had to keep going. I couldn't just stop and sulk. And I had to, like, okay, Shay, you've got 5 minutes to cry, and fix your crown, girl, and keep going. I kind of had to pull myself up and out. And there were times I had to call on my support system. When I say support system, I mean my sisters, because I'm not an introvert, so to speak, but I do tend to keep my circle small, because I notice the bigger your circle, the more issues. And I don't like issues, and I don't like, it's, it's way too much. So I keep my circle small. But that's a different story for a different day. Um, So probably the most obvious source of stress is the emotional roller coaster. Like I said, that divorce can throw you, and one day you're feeling just empowered, and then the next day you're like, "What am I doing? Why am I doing it? Do I really want to do this? Oh, I lost my mind." And and you do that day in, day out. It's like, oh, here I go again, here I go again, and you think you're going crazy. Trust me, you're not. It's all a part of that transition. And divorce it touches every corner of your heart. It digs into your emotions. It pulls up feelings of betrayal and anger, loneliness, bitterness, fear. I went through all of those emotions during my divorce. And I can tell you, from one moment to the next, and still trying to hold it together to keep my children um, from feeling as much as the pain that I felt. I still had to be cognizant or aware of their feelings as well. And I had to be that mother, and I had to be there for them. So making face in front of the four little ones, and then crying in the shower. Making face in front of the four little ones, and making dinner, and turning my back and shedding a little tear. Making face with four little ones, and putting them to bed at night, and I'm crying. Yeah. So I went through all of that, and you're not just mourning the end of a relationship. I do want to say that you're mourning the end of a future that you once imagined with that person. Like any of the your plans that you had, dead, go. Any of the future promises, plans, cruises, just whatever it was that you guys had, it stops. I know mine did. Like it's went out the window. Like we're not even friends anymore. We went from husband and wife to for lovers and friends to strangers and enemies almost overnight. And it's normal. It's normal to feel disoriented. It's normal to feel lost, and it's even normal to feel out of control. I can say that. Um, but what's equally important to understand is that these feelings, while even though they are overwhelming, they're just temporary. They will give way to the sun. They will give way to the light. They will give way to better days. I can attest to that. I can attest to that. But they are part of the process of letting go. They're part of the process of healing. And this is where the right tools and support can make all the difference. So if you have the right people around you, if you have the right tools, um, you don't have to ride this emotional roller coaster alone. If you have the right shoulder to lean on, the right ear to just vent into, they don't have to say a word, just vent, just get some of that weight off your shoulders, you know. So, and one of the most powerful resources you can have during a divorce is the strong emotional support network, whether it's a friend, whether it's family, a therapist, a counselor, a support group. Give me a moment. Um, Someone that can offer you a safe place, a safe space to vent, to get things off of your chest, like I said. Um, that cry when you want to cry, vent when you want to vent. Just, I don't have to answer back. Just someone where you can lay your burdens down on. And I know they're like, well, you lay your burdens down on Christ and lay your burdens down on God. Yes, but some of us, most of us need this physical being right here to go and just to vent. We might not need a response. Just someone to vent. And sometimes just knowing that someone is listening, that someone understands, or it's enough to help regain emotional balance where you were one imbalanced. Okay. And the stressor number two is the financial fallout. That is one spot that hit me hard. Even though I had a nice job at the time and I'm still working at the same place, nice job, nice benefits, the financial fallout kind of hit me hard because where that extra oomph of coins, it wasn't there anymore. It wasn't there. And I had to pull myself up by the shoelaces and say, okay, we're gonna have to cut some of this out. We're gonna make it. We're going to do this. Um, and that's just what I had to do. And it often comes with divorce because you're going, like I said, you're going from two income possibly to one income. Or maybe the wife, or it could have been the husband, was a stay-at-home spouse, and now you have to get into the workforce. It's a big change, and it can be, and divorce can be an expensive process. I know I came out of pocket with a big grip, but I knew it was something that was necessary. That's again another story for another day. One day I just may share my story with you guys. Um, and it's just not in terms of legal fees, but also in restructuring your whole financial life, as in bills and gas and food. And now where there was two paying for extracurricular activities, It's probably just one paying for extracurricular activities, or maybe you can't even afford to pay for these activities for your children. Um, Assets are divided, debts are assigned or managed, and you're like, how in the world am I going to navigate all of this? And you're responsible for your own self now. But even though this can be incredibly overwhelming, especially if you were someone who wasn't deeply involved with the finances during the marriage, again, you can get through this. As I said, this is where, again, the right tools and support can all make a big difference. And financial literacy is a great thing to have at this time in your life. So it may be a time to start working with a financial advisor who specializes in divorce. Yes. That is one person that I wish I had in my corner at the time of my divorce. But at that time, I couldn't afford one. And at the time, I wasn't thinking about one either. But it definitely would have come in handy had I had a financial advisor at that time. I'm sorry, my notifications on my phone keep going. But so, and that financial advisor can help you put together a budget, help you understand your assets, and help you plan for your financial future, where you're going from that two down to that one income source. So, even though it may seem daunting at first, once you take control of your finances and understand, what you have to do to manage it, how things will have to realign itself, it's doable. You just have to get used to the new pattern of things that you have to take on as far as um the financial role in your new life. um but how I lost myself. What was once a source of stress can become a source of confidence. So after you get a hang on to your financial management, you can be very confident that things will be okay. You'll learn that you can manage your own money, especially if you weren't the money manager in the marriage. You learn that you can manage your own money. You can stand on your own feet financially. The next chapter of your life doesn't have to be of scarcity. It doesn't have to be of poverty. It doesn't have to be of where's my next meal or my next dime or my next dollar going to come from. It can be one of abundance, but in one that works for you. So, yeah. And the third stressor I want to hit on is the disruption of the family. That, even though in my situation, our family dynamic was already disrupted years before all of this happened, it still took a toll on the family dynamics because even though they were used to mom and dad in the household and us making face, for the mother and the father role for the children, it went from no father in the household, or when they were with their father, no mother in the household. And yeah, that family dynamic was really interrupted. There were things that he done with the kids that I didn't do. There was things that I done with the kids that he didn't do. And then when we separated or split the family dynamics, those things were gone. And you can't always replace the missing piece by doing what that other parent does, because maybe that's what that child liked to do with that specific parent. And it doesn't just impact the two people ending the marriage, it impacts the children. Um, in that the extended family, friends, and I've noticed that that's a big question. Like, they're getting divorced. well, who's going to be our friend? Like, do we take her side? Do we take his side? Do we take no side at all? Do we just fall off the riverbanks? What do we do? But for some, there's a sense of shame or stigma that comes with the end of a marriage, especially if the divorce was messy and public. Like mine, it was kind of messy. It was kind of public, but it wasn't public as in, say, Diana. If she got divorced, it wasn't like all over social media and all over the news and stuff like that. But within the community, it was not pretty. So relationships with the in-laws, and you can actually lose an in-law. They can be non-existent. Like, not that it touches me any kind of way, but I have no contact with my ex-in-law. But some of my nieces, some of his nieces, my nieces, we've come so close that those are my nieces and my nephews, and we still are in contact with each other. Friends may take sides, and if you have children, it's just a whole mess of things, and it will become a new set of challenges. Um, and all this can feel isolated, especially if someone you thought that was so close to you ends up taking your spouse's side, and you're like, what happened to our relationship? I thought we were close, and now I can't. I can't have this as that support or that I used to have when I was married. Like, I can't come to you like I used to when I was married because you've taken his side of you taken her side, and I can't tell you things anymore. So those dynamics really change. But again, as I stated before, with the right support, you don't have to navigate the waters alone. So again, with a trusted divorce coach or a mentor or a therapist, these people can be very invaluable to helping you navigate the complexities of any divorce, parenting, managing relationships with your in-laws, managing relationships with your mutual friends. Um, it's just as important finding your own community as well. So you might have to end up finding your own people, your own circle of friends. So starting anew is not all bad. Find some good people these days. Even though they come rare and few in between, there are still some gems out there. I found a couple myself. Thank God for that. Um, but there are people who remind you of your social life isn't over just because your marriage is. Your family, your friendships, while they may shift from one side to the other, they're still a vital source of joy, still a vital source of connection, still a vital source of love. And you'll learn to create new bonds, and you can redefine old ones and build a support system that serves you in this new phase of your life. Okay. So, with this being said, I'm going to stop it here. And on the next session of our talk about divorce, we're going to talk about how you can gracefully move forward into singlehood. So, just want to let you know to believe me, no matter how hard it seems right now, it is possible to make it through this process, not only intact, but stronger, more self assured, more capable than ever before. The key is to allow yourself to grow through this experience. So until next time, we'll be talking about how you be getting over into this singlehood. So love you people. See you next time. Bye bye.